Всем привет, everyone. Okay, we are back for a test. So we finished lessons 41 through 45, and now it's time for what I believe is test number 9. You can get the test number by dividing the last lesson by 5, and 45 divided by 5, if I'm not mistaken, is 9. So let's go ahead and do test 9. So this test, oh yeah, it says here anyway, it's test 9. I think this test is reasonably easy. Some of the tests we've had in the past were quite difficult. I think this one is fairly simple if you've studied the material. So let's go ahead and see how we fare. So, something вы приехали в Россию, чтобы работать. So, here's a question and here's the answer. The answer is чтобы работать, in order to work. So I'm going to assume that since the answer is in order to work, or so that I can work, probably the question is, why did you arrive in Russia? But remember, Russia has two words for why, which are kind of different. There's почему, which is the more general word. Почему means why in a very general sense. And then zачем means something more like for what purpose. So I think here the answer they're looking for is zачем, because the person's saying, for what reason did you arrive in Russia? And generally, if the question can be answered with чтобы, then the question is probably zачем and not just почему. I think Russians would understand if you said почему, but I think the more correct word to use here is зачем. So, мне нужен учебник, something изучать русский язык. So I need a textbook, something study Russian language. Well, I guess here we use a чтобы. I need a textbook in order to study the Russian language. That makes sense. Something ты не хочешь оставаться здесь. So why do you not want to оставаться? What was оставаться? I actually looked it up, but oh right, stay. Оставаться means stay. So why do you not want to stay here? So I think here's where you would use почему, because зачем, for what purpose do you not want to stay here? I mean, you can say for what reason do you not want to stay here, but that's different. It's not saying for what reason, but rather what is the intent or the goal. So it's like, what is the goal of you not staying here? It doesn't really make much sense. And I think here почему is the more general word that they're looking for. Я не люблю зиму, something в это время очень холодно. So I do not like winter, something in this time very cold. Well, that's because. So that's simply потому что. So я не люблю зиму, потому что в это время очень холодно. I do not like winter because in this time it's very cold. Скажи мне, something тебе нужно столько мобильных телефонов. Okay, so скажи мне, tell me, something you need столько, so many мобильных телефонов, so many mobile telephones. So I think here again, зачем probably makes sense. For what reason, for what purpose do you need so many mobile telephones? Okay, я купил велосипед, something не стоит в пробках. I bought a bicycle, something не стоят to not stand in traffic jams. This could get a little bit confusing because it's a не, the person is saying to not do this, but it's still, I think it's still чтобы. Because if you say потому что, because not stand in traffic jams, doesn't make sense. Yeah, чтобы. I bought a bicycle in order to not stand in traffic jams. So it's still чтобы, I'm pretty sure. Я отдыхаю, something я устал работать. So I relax or I rest. Потому что я устал работать, because I'm tired of working. Seems like sound reasoning to me. I have also done something like this in the past, rested after being tired of after work. Okay, что будет? Something смешет горячую и холодную воду. Будет теплая вода. So что будет? What will happen? Something смешат, mix, горючую и холодную воду, hot and cold water. It will be warm water. Будет теплая вода. So, do you say если or если бы or something like that? I think you could say yes. You might think it might be если бы because если бы is kind of like if you would. So what happens if you would mix hot and cold water? But you don't really say that in English either, do you? In English, you just say if you mix hot and cold water. So it's kind of the same in Russian. You don't say если бы, you just say если. So yeah, what happens if, если means if, what happens if you mix hot and cold water becomes warm water? Okay, here, however, it's a bit different. So at least in this test, and I think often in Russian in general, kind of a giveaway. If you see "bli" here in the second clause of the sentence, it's kind of a hint that it's probably going to be "если bli" in the in the first part, or vice versa. So I'm going to go ahead and read it out. So "если бы ты меня послушал," if would be, or well, I mean, "bli" means would, so the phrasing here. The phrasing here is a little awkward. In English, you'd say, obviously, if you would have listened to me. In Russian, it says, если бы ты меня послушал. If would you me listened. But obviously, in English, you'd say, if you had listened to me. Мы бы успели на поезд. We would have been in time for the train. So, мы бы, we would be, or we would have, and then успели на поезд. Arrived in time for the train. So yeah, in this test it's kind of easy when you can, usually it's easy when you can tell when you need to use "bli" because there'll be "bli" in the second, in the other part of the sentence as well. Yeah, like here as well. You see "bli" here, so that suggests it's probably "если бы" here as well. Let's see. Если бы он всегда делал то, что обещал, то я бы верил ему. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that it's если бы. Если он всегда. So this sentence means if he would always do what he promises, then I would believe him. So если бы он всегда делал то, if would he always did that what promised, then I would believe him. So again, bli, bli. Something ты скажешь мне правду, я не обижусь. That's a common promise, and it's hardly ever true, is it? So I think it's not если бы, but just если. So it says, if you tell me the truth, I will not get offended. So you could also say если бы, if you would tell me the truth, I will not get offended. But again, since I think they're looking for если. So if you tell me the truth, I won't get offended. Yeah, okay. Ты не знаешь, something ушел директор. Okay, pretty straightforward. So ушел means to walk away or walked away, so it's obviously куда. Do you not know to where the director left or walked away to? Откуда would be from where, but obviously he walked away, he didn't walk to us, he walked away from here, so it's куда, to where did he go? Кто знает, something у нас будут праздники. What is праздники? Is that holidays, right? Okay. So кто знает, who knows? Okay, когда is obviously a logical word then. Who knows? Кто знает, когда у нас будут праздники? Who knows when we will have holidays? Okay, pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously, you could also say where we will have holidays, but yeah, I mean, no, when makes more sense. Я спросил ее something, она купила такое красивое пальто. So I asked her. Okay, here где makes more sense. Where she bought such a beautiful coat. So, я спросил ее, где она купила такое красивое пальто. I asked her where she bought such a beautiful coat. Yeah, obviously, you could also say when she bought such a beautiful coat, but where makes more sense, right? You're not saying when did you buy that, but where did you buy it? It could be either, but yeah. Извините, something вы приехали из Норвегии. Okay, so this is saying, excuse me, something you came from Norway. Well, obviously that's откуда, came. Откуда means where from. So, excuse me, откуда вы приехали? Where did you come from? From Norway. Something у тебя такая информация, кто тебе сказал? Again, this is откуда. Where from? So, from where do you have such information? Who told you? Sounds like a rather interrogating kind of question, but okay. Ты не скажешь, something можно купить компьютер. Ты не скажешь, so it's like you don't say, but I think in this case, as a question, it's more like, won't you tell me? Won't you say? And probably here again, since you're saying basically where to buy something, right? So, где можно купить компьютер? Where can you buy, or where can one buy a computer? Where can someone buy a computer? Something он молчит, я думаю, что что-то не так. Okay, so I believe this is когда. It's saying when he is silent, I think that something is not right or something is wrong. Не так basically means not right. Like if you're saying something is wrong, then you can say что-то не так. Something's not right. Something is wrong. So when he's silent, then I think something is wrong. Собрание is что это? That's probably meeting, right? Yes, собрание here is meeting. So собрание осталось несколько минут. Meeting remain a few minutes. So okay, so before the meeting, there are still a few minutes before the meeting. So remember we talked about words leading up to events. Назад is in the past, and после is after the meeting, but we're saying before the meeting there's still a few minutes. Now, перед means just before something, so we could say there are just a few minutes before the meeting, but I think here what makes sense is to say until the meeting. The amount of time that will transpire before the meeting is до. So до собрания осталось несколько минут. Until the meeting, there's still a few minutes. By contrast, this, I believe, is перед. What this is saying is conference. I must again read my report. So you could say that, yeah, some amount of time before the meeting I need to read my report. But I think the point here is that the speaker wants to read their report just before the meeting or just before the conference, just before it starts. So I think the correct word here is перед. Перед конференцией я должен еще раз прочитать свой доклад. So just before the conference, I must еще раз, another time, прочитать, read, свой доклад. Свой being, again, general word for one's own. Speaking about first person, second person, or third person, you use svoj to mean their own, or my own, or your own. And then doklad is report. So, Встречи я поеду в офис. So again, meeting. Встречи is meeting. I go into the office. So it's probably после. После встречи я поеду в офис. So after the meeting, I go into the office. I guess you could say period as well. Just before the meeting, I go into the office. That's also possible, but I think they mean after the meeting here. Мы проговорим об этом вечером something работы. So we will talk about it вечером. In the evening, something works. Well, okay, so hopefully the evening is after work. So again, I mean, I guess you could have night shifts as well, but I think the point here is that work is during the day, and so we'll talk about it after work. После работы. After work. We will talk about it in the evening after work. От лета я должен пройти паспортный контроль. So before the flight's departure, I must go through passport control. So again, you could say it's перед, because you could say just before the flight I need to go through passport control. But when you're in the airport, they encourage you to go to your gate early. They don't want you to just hang around the airport and then all of a sudden run to your gate when the plane's about to leave. So I guess you don't want to say just before the flight, but before the flight, a reasonable amount of time before the flight. This could be kind of an edge case or a border case, I think, because you're not going to passport control like centuries before your flight, but it's you're going fairly close to the flight. But I guess the point is, it's not just before the flight. It's not immediately before the flight. You have some time normally in the departure lounge before you leave, because you don't want to arrive to the plane just in time. So. Okay, so до отлета я должен пройти паспортный контроль. Before the flight, I must go through passport control. Something сколько дней вы приехали в Москву? So, okay, how many days you are going to Moscow? So here it is na. Remember, if you're saying I'm going somewhere for a week or for 5 days or whatever, then you use na. So I'm going to Moscow, not 5 days. I'm going for 5 days. So, на сколько дней, for how many days вы приехали в Москву? For how many days you're going to Moscow? Something сколько времени ты сможешь подготовить документы? Aha, but here is not saying how long you'll be doing it, but how long will it take you to do it? And so then it's за. За сколько времени ты можешь подготовить документы? In how much time can you prepare the documents, or how much time will it take you to prepare the documents? Он так изменился something последнее время. He has changed, or yeah, так is like, it's kind of like he has so much changed. He's changed so much. Последнее время, in the last time. So I think again this is za, because za is indicating how much time it took. Hold on, is that right? Let me just quickly check my notes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's za. Yeah, so it's saying, it's not giving a fixed time frame for how long it took, but it's saying that the process took place during this time, where the process went through during this time. And so in последнее время, in the last time, meaning like recently, like not long ago, but more in the more recent times, he's changed so much. So it's за последнее время, it took place in the last times, in the recent times. Я приехал в родной город something 5 лет после отъезда. So I arrived in родный город is like my birth town, or I guess hometown, like where you were, probably either where you were born or where you grew up. 5 лет после отъезда. 5 years after I left, or after leaving. So, Yeah, okay, so that's через in 5 years or after 5 years. Yeah, I arrived in my hometown after 5 years or in 5 years after leaving. It's через 5 лет. It's difficult to phrase it exactly in English in a way that makes sense without using without using different words. But yeah, it's через 5 лет in 5 years or after 5 years. 6 месяцев something она еще не говорила по-русски. So, okay, so this is past tense. It's because it says говорила, which is spoke, past tense. So it's probably назад. 6 месяцев назад, 6 months ago, она еще не говорила по-русски. She still did not speak Russian. Presumably with the idea that she speaks Russian now. Well, it doesn't necessarily say that. Just as 6 months ago, she still didn't speak Russian. So, 6 месяцев назад, 6 months ago. Они встретились снова только something много лет. So this is they met again. Снова means again. Only, okay, so this is again через, only after many years. So they met again only after many years. Через много лет, in many years. Okay, and finally, we're already at the end. Директора нет на месте. Он вышел пару минут. So again, he left a few minutes ago. So it's назад. So director is not на месте. He's not on his place, like he's not at his desk. Он вышел пару минут назад. There we go. So let's take a look at the results. And I will just quickly scroll through the answers here in case you want to review them. But like I said, I think in comparison to many tests that we've had previously, I think this test was fairly straightforward. I think the reasons for most of these are pretty clear. They didn't have too many border cases or things where you're kind of like, why is that the answer? That does not make sense. I think all of these, certainly most of these make reasonable sense to me in my mind, but who knows? I hope that they make sense in your mind as well, but if they don't, then, well, who knows? Anything's possible. But okay, well, that's it. That was test number 9, I think. Oh, it doesn't say here, but I'm pretty sure it was test number 9. Anyway, that was a test. Next time we will be back with more of Learning Russian with a lesson where we will learn other things. I hope I'll see you then, folks. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye for now. Пока.